Tech Rundown.
Hello, Davis. Hello to Sydney, Australia.
Hello. How are we all?
Yeah, very well, very well. How are you?
Not too bad at all. It's a very exciting week indeed.
Every week is very exciting with you.
It sure is, because the iPhone 15 event is just a couple of days away. Can we believe that?
It's in my diary, remember?
It's in Renee's diary. So come on. So yes, very exciting. So it's a phone, right?
Yes, it is a phone. However, there are two significant problems that Apple is facing right before the event, and they're both coming from China. I don't know if you guys have heard, but China has banned iPhones and foreign smartphones for use in all government buildings or work. And this can expand to all state-owned companies as well. And this could have massive implications. China's seeking to cut their reliance on foreign technology, sort of a familiar thing that we're seeing all across the globe as well. And they're trying to beef up their security and keep sensitive data from leaking to foreign governments, which is quite funny coming from China.
Well,
so
quite. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, it is very, very funny coming from China, given that we're also trying to remove Chinese infrastructure from our critical national infrastructure.
What's really worrying about it, I imagine, Davis, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, for Apple, is that 80% of their product is made in China.
Davis.
And that's very true. I think that's less of an issue for Apple, though. The bigger issue immediately, though, is that Apple has 22 market share in China. China is Apple's 5th biggest market. And this is not for a lack of trying as well, because Apple's tried to please the CCP in many ways over the past few years. For example, did you know why AirDrop is now only limited to 10 minutes? It's because it's there to stop this quick spread of anti-government messages in protest-like situations. And also Apple's got servers in China, especially serving the Chinese market, powered by their own government workers. So Apple has bent over backwards to please China, and yet China is still doing this. Apple shares are down 4% right now, and the iPhone 15 launch is just around the corner, so this might significantly reduce the demand for that. But that's not the only issue right now, because do we remember the Huawei embargo from 2019? Yeah, so that was a situation where Trump used an executive order to ban Huawei from using Western technology.
Yes.
And this was very, very significant because Huawei was the second biggest smartphone maker at the time, 16% global market share, but now they've been reduced to 4%. These are the implications of the decisions. And because of the decisions that were made, Huawei was unable to access the 5G chips that can only be made with Western technology until now, because they just announced the Mate 60 Pro with a new Kirin 9000S chip. It's made by a Chinese company called SMIC, and this is massive, because previously they were only able to make 14 nanometer chips, which is very, very old hat. 14 nanometers, oh my god. But this new chip is 7 nanometers, which means it's only a few years behind that of Apple, which is 3 nanometers this year. So it's sort of similar to a top-in-line chip.
So hang on a minute.
Very small.
So yeah, no, I know what a nano is, nanometer. So basically you're talking about this is 14 nanometers being thicker than 3 nanometers.
Yeah.
So obviously
Yes,
it goes
smaller the
milli-micro,
better.
nano, pico, by the way, -3, -6, -9, and -12. So I do know what I'm talking about, Tom Williott's producer.
So basically what we are saying is that these sanctions that did cripple Huawei for a little while has actually encouraged China to become self-sufficient in chip making, which is sort of the opposite effect of what Trump initially wanted. And this is terrible news for Apple on both fronts here. So not a great time for Apple right before the iPhone 15 launch.
Isn't Apple also having problems with the EU?
Yes. So let's remind ourselves, in June 2022, the EU established that USB-C was to be the single charging solution for all smartphones. This means that all iPhone 15 models this year are ditching Apple's Lightning charger to be replaced with USB-C. And earlier this year, they also mandated that all smartphones are going to have replaceable batteries by 2027. Obviously, Apple hates this idea. It'll make their phones thicker, fatter, less water resistant, resistant, and will encourage people to use their phones for longer. And this year, though, September right now, the EU Digital Markets Act, they're trying to ensure that large platforms do not act as gatekeepers to prevent competition. And people are saying that iMessage, which is a reason why a lot of people buy iPhones, they thought that it would be subjugated to the same rules, because iMessage is only available on iPhones. If an Android user texts you, it appears as a green bubble. Because do we all have those green bubble friends? They're a little bit annoying, right?
well, I've never called them green bubble friends.
I just don't keep them as friends. I mean, I just get rid of them.
But can I just just go back on this? The fact is, you're saying that they're going to get rid of the Lightning and they have USB-C. What does that do in terms of charging? Is that better or worse?
I have sort of mixed opinions about this. Lightning fundamentally is a better design of a port. It's smaller, it's tougher. However, it is quite dated by its speeds. However, that could obviously change. USB-C is a more universal port. But my feeling is that the EU meddling with smartphone technology is only going to dampen innovation. Is going to, for example, if someone comes out with a new fantastic charger, they won't be able to use it because of the EU's meddling, and this will just stifle innovation in a space that's so ripe with it. Yeah. So I'm a little bit disappointed.
I mean, it's a monopoly, really, isn't it? The fact is, the EU is basically calling the shots, and what happened to competition?
Well, it is a cartel. The EU,
it is a cartel,
isn't it? By nature, it's a cartel.
So what happened to competition?
Well, exactly.
Yeah, luckily it's just a charger, but innovation-wise, it definitely isn't good. Luckily, though, Apple has managed to win against the EU this time, so iMessage will not need to be spread onto Android as well, and Apple won't need to adopt the new standard RCS, which is what Android is trying to implement as a replacement for SMS. For better or worse, this is what's happened.
And I imagine Apple's very pleased about that.
Yes, so finally, Apple has won against the EU.
Interesting stuff. What else do you have for us?
Sorry, what was that?
What else do you have for us?
Well, did you know that BMW and other car makers are trying to make more money these days? Well, BMW have been offering something called subscriptions for features like CarPlay and also heated seats. This has been very, very unpopular. Because do you want to pay $18 a month for heated seats? No. Obviously not. So they've luckily realized that this has been an epic failure of monumental proportions, and they've cancelled all of their subscriptions. Luckily, though, Hyundai has found another way for car makers to increase their revenue. They've introduced Hyundai Pay, which will allow you, in the US at least, to go into a car park and pay for parking directly from the touchscreen. I think that would just be amazing and save so much time. And eventually, they want to spread that to petrol stations.
How do they make money from that? Davis, how do they make money?
It's sort of similar to Apple Pay. They'll get a little bit of a cut from each transaction, and this will just allow car manufacturers to monetize in new fantastic ways.
I mean, it is quite clever if you just drive it, because the thing I hate about those is you arrive in a car park and then you have to find the blinking number and then you go to your phone and there's no reception, all that kind of thing, and you have to stick the thing in, then it doesn't do it, and then by then you're late for your appointment. If you could just appear and then the car debits your card for being in the car park, Rennie, you don't agree?
Well, no, I do agree. Of course I do. I just wonder if car manufacturers shouldn't be happy making money from selling cars.
But of course the price point is coming down, hasn't it, Davis? Because Tesla, again, they had to reduce their prices, didn't they?
Yes, I think Tesla is very much encouraged by, or forced rather, by the Chinese companies reducing the prices of their electric cars by so much. So Tesla is really forced to compete on that front. So if you can't really make money from making cars, you have to find other ways to do that. So subscriptions were the obvious solution, but obviously not working. So maybe Hyundai Pay is an idea that will spread across the car world.
It's really interesting, actually. Davis, always good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Davis Frang there.
Thank you.
In Sydney, Australia, our tech presenter. Right, time for a break. After the break, we'll take some calls and your thoughts and your messages.